Yeah. Okay. About that time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. uh-huh. Yeah. Shit. Grams leaders CC's pounds. Close cash, close call, close encounter, close up, pounds of leaders of grams, get your dosed up, cut this up, post up, and get dosed up. This for them voted like the movement, make the most of. Monday night at 8, I can't wait to set you straight. These opinions and debates, for them folk that can't relate. I got to elevate your mind through these signs of the time. Dishing out that medication for that deaf, dumb, and blind. And I ain't hard to find, you can catch me in them trenches. I do the groundwork and I ain't waiting on no sense. I be touching on them topics politicians fail to mention. And I don't vote for nobody that ain't got good intentions. I'm relentless for my people and I'm here to make a change. I got that truth serum hooked directly to your vein. Hey, this is for my people, tune in, catch a closer, closer, a closer, grams of it, tune in, liters of it, closer, pounds of it, pounds of it, yeah, grams of it, liters of pounds, get you. All right. Appreciate everybody for tuning in on this Monday at 8 o'clock once again for the Dosed Up Show. Dishing out that medication, I go by Sharpshooter, aka Dose. I got my man Lab on the ones and twos.
That's right.
Oh yeah, and I just wanted to make a little clarification. Y'all do know that Lab is also part of this show.
That's right. You know that's right.
The whole point is for us to communicate, you know what I'm saying, and get some wisdom and bounce ideas off of each other and resolutions for the show.
Okay. All right, my brother. How was your weekend and your week? I know you work a 9 to 5. You work a really good job. So how was your week and your weekend? You get into you ain't getting no trouble, did you?
No. I'm actually trying to stay out of trouble, man. I gotta remain free, actually. You know what I'm saying? And, so I can dish out this medication for everybody.
That's right.
At work, work has been grinding and grueling now. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good grind. You know, it's how you earn your keep, and then with that keep, I'm investing in myself, and you see me now.
Right.
So that got me through the week, and on the weekend, I like to unwind sometimes if I'm not going out somewhere to eat. I'm in that studio.
Okay.
I got a call, and it's funny because the last episode we were talking about doing music on the spot and paying for studio time and this and that.
Right.
Well, this time I got a call and I was summoned to get on the beat.
Okay.
So I just walked through, did what I did.
Right.
I didn't have the beat to sleep with, you know what I'm saying? So while one rapper was handling his business, I was in my phone, bar for bar. Then once he got through with his, it was my turn.
It was your turn.
Yeah. It was a success.
So did it make you nervous, or do you have to even really be? When we talked about this last time, do you have to really even be prepared? Like say you driving down the street, and I call you up, I say, hey, Shelter, I got this, got this beat. I want you to come drop first 16 on it for me real quick. And you like, well, give me to tomorrow. You're like, no, I need you right now. I need you. Turn around, come on. Do you need to prepare yourself, or you?
Nope. I'm like, shoot me the address.
You good?
Shoot me the address.
Okay.
And I'm on it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It just, first of all, it's what I do. I like to do this. I mean, if I wasn't necessarily writing no lyrics, I'd still be reading. You know what I'm saying? I'd still be researching. I'd be doing something intellectually.
Okay.
So I'm always prepared. I've been doing this since way back, since high school.
Okay.
Really, you know what I'm saying? So it's called On the Spot, and you will miss an opportunity from time to time if you're not able to be on the spot. Like that particular opportunity, if I'm nervous, or if I feel like I'm not on point, if I feel like I ain't done nothing in a while, or if I feel intimidated by the beat or by anyone in there, you know what I'm saying? That can mess up your flow.
Okay.
But nah.
You was good. Some people have to have a mental focus. Some people might need something to drink, or a Big Mac from Mickey D's or something,
Wow.
just to get themselves
okay.
in the mood. You know what I'm saying? Get themselves in the mood to flow properly. But you could just drop it off and drop it in the beat and be good to go.
Well, I stay hungry for success, and this is one of the paths to success.
Okay.
So it's kind of like if you were to bump into Steph Curry and you asked him to shoot a jump shot or something, he ain't gonna be like, oh man, on this gym,
Right.
over here at this time,
Right.
he should be able to knock them threes down like he normally do.
Okay.
So that's how I look at it when it goes, you know what I'm saying, with my craft.
Okay, I can respect that. I can respect that 100%. I was gonna ask you, did you drop any flows this weekend? But you already went on ahead and gave me that information before I even asked.
Now, the interesting thing about this is though, when I'm doing something for someone else's project, I like to give them the craft along with what they're looking for. Meaning, like, I don't want to everything that, like, if I'm always street on something,
Right.
or if I'm in a particular mode where my lyrics are passionate about and aggressive about what I see that's negative going on, I don't want to put that on their song if that's not what they're talking about.
Okay.
So the gift is to be able to sound like how I want to sound and get the point across with a topic or saying words that I probably wouldn't necessarily always go on my route.
Okay. I learned something today. I've been reading a book by Rick Rubin called The Creative Mind. And in The Creative Mind, he says most artists want to get their point of view across on the whatever project they're working on.
Exactly.
But he said there's a difference between a point of view and a point. You get what I'm saying?
I hear you. Yeah.
He says all artists have a point of view. They have a point of view of what they experience in life and what they experience on their everyday, and their point of view is their outwardly vision of things that they see. Their point is when you're just making a point about a specific thing. So he said all artists should always want to get their point of view across in the art, but not necessarily their point.
Well, the view is the creativity, kind of like, it's like painting a picture.
Right.
So yeah, you always want to have a vantage point or a perspective that's broader than what you might really think. Like growing up, it used to kind of tickle me a lot when I was in literature class, and the teacher would be like, "Hey, so what do you think? Interpret this poem." And as a person that do that, I'm like, man, I can't really tell you what that person was thinking because
There
they wrote
you
that
go.
based off of their experience.
There
You know what I'm saying?
go. See?
I can only tell you what I think he's talking about.
Right.
But if you ask him, he may not agree with my point. And
Right.
then they be grading you on that.
Right.
So, like, with me, sometimes I have hidden messages in my lyrics. That would be the point of view.
Right.
The point would be if I'm blunt with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So he says, and what you just said was exactly right, because he says, even though let's say you make an album or a song or beat, and then I come along and I listen to that beat and I try to copy that beat, it's not going to be the same copy because my experiences are different than yours. It's not going to be exactly the same as you would make it because your point of view is different. You may see a horn in it going up and down. I may see a horn in it going down and up. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily going to be exact copy.
It's funny that you mentioned that, man. Right now, believe it or not, my template and blueprint as to how I'm approaching things or music wise from here on out. Actually, I've been pulling a lot of that Motown Temptations and the Berry Gordy and all that, like looking at how as a unit they wrote for each other, they paired each other.
Right.
Like you saw Marvin Gaye with multiple artists.
That most definitely. Smokey Robinson, multiple
Exactly,
artists.
like, and damn near like all of the artists that were in one group bounced off another group. You know, somebody was in James Brown band, and they went from James Brown band like Bootsy, Bootsy Collins, all of that. But what I got from it is, first of all, a lot of them were doing these things since they were 4 years old or younger.
Right,
Some of them
right.
were born with it. They could play instruments, they could read it, and it's a craft. A lot of it was the writing that went into it.
Right.
It's the writing that made those hits. So I'm into writing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the experiences of what you have in real life, when you can make them relatable on rhythm and a melody, that's when you got something that's timeless and classic.
Right. Okay. I get what you're saying. I just thought that I found that kind of interesting that you brought up that, how you try to get, when someone asks you to come on the beat, you try to get your point of view out, but not your point. You get what I'm saying? Especially when it's not what they're talking about or not what their music is about. So I appreciated that, and I just wanted to drop that on you. That I understand exactly what you mean.
Oh yeah.
So going into that, it's Black History Month, right?
Of course.
And you always give us good Black History facts.
Yeah.
So what we got going? What's a good Black History fact? Something that we didn't know.
So this one, actually, I think people have heard of this, but this is a Black History fact that's still going on and that's current. But today I decided to speak on Mr. Lonnie Johnson, who was born in Mobile, Alabama on October 6, 1949, and he graduated from Tuskegee University.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Johnson was an aerospace engineer and worked with the Air Force, but he did a 12-year stint working for NASA in the Jet Propulsion Laboratory.
Okay.
Now, he took these jet propulsion skills and actually invented the Super Soaker.
Really?
Exactly. He invented that in 1989, and of course, the rest is history. Made a lot of money off of that.
Right.
I would say that's considered to be a fun gun.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Those shots was just because he did a great thing. Maybe I should have clapped.
Speaking system sound or something like that.
Right. Maybe I should give him some water or something, or a little water drops or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's good information. That's interesting. I knew that, but I didn't know where he was born and all that stuff.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily know he was into the aerospace.
Right.
So, and with NASA.
But then when you look at the gun, you think about it. It does look space-like, right? Think you might see some aliens or something. You never know what goes on around that place. They don't tell us everything.
No,
they don't tell us everything.
He could have seen some, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a duplicate. I'm a reverse engineer this. Just put some water with it.
Right. See? See?
What was that gun originally shooting or projecting?
Right. Lasers.
You never know.
Conspiracy theory on top. But I'm glad you brought up that thing because we have a conversation and we always have a good conversation about certain things. And you bring up the aspect of a Super Soaker and how that was a fun gun. Now my friend Slick, she does not allow her grandkids to play with guns because she says it gives them the mentality that guns are fun, like you just said. And number two, it desensitizes them to the effects that guns can have on you, mentally and physically.
Oh yeah, and that's exactly where we're going with it for the topic of the day, and we're going to stretch this out because we want to try to get to the bottom of some of this and some of these resolutions. But the topic would be teenagers with guns or youth with guns and the violence that's being created behind it.
Okay.
And so with that, I'm not necessarily all big on statistics, but I did a little bit of research because statistics can be biased,
right?
Lopsided, focus, exactly. Right. You know what I'm saying? And they're also meant kind of like to scare, put fear, right? So they always inflate and blow it up. But one of the things that I did see out that kind of stood out a little bit to me was that they were saying that the black children or black youth are 17 times more likely to be gunned down by homicide and gun violence than white youth. They also said that actually firearms is like becoming one of the leading causes of death for the youth. 5 out of every 100,000, so they say, white youth may be, succumb to gun violence. When they say 1 in every 10,000 blacks.
Well, let me ask you a question. I know we talk about statistics here.
Yeah.
But over the course of years, of centuries, the easiest way to get something passed. The easiest way to get something passed is to scare them what black folks is doing it. You get what I'm saying?
Of course. I
mean, you think about marijuana, how that got illegal. Black men was making black men crazy for white women. So anything that has something to do with passing the law that that's not necessarily popular, you start saying black folks is doing it, it's gonna start getting passed very quickly. I'm not necessarily sure that those statistics are correct. And like you said, they can be skewed. What I'm thinking is that a lot more of the violence in our neighborhood is reported.
Yeah.
Than a lot more of the violence in white folks' neighborhoods are reported.
Exactly.
This is just my opinion. This is allegedly. But I think a lot of times the gun violence in white neighborhoods are brother and sister and cousin against each other. You get what I'm saying? And I don't know if they count, and I'm not trying to be insensitive here, because I don't know if they count school shootings as that part. I don't know if they count that. I don't know if they count, white supremacists walking into a white guy walking into a black church and shooting all them folks. Do they count that as a white shooting, or does that count as a black shooting?
Well, it's a shooting the way I look at it. Right. And it's getting to the point where it's too many of them. Right. Regardless of race and culture, the teenager or a youth, an adolescent, they really don't need firearms.
Right, they don't.
I mean, that's a big responsibility even for adults to have. And so, which I posed this question before we start getting deeper into this particular topic. And it's like, would anyone, no matter what their culture or their race is, would you want a 14 or 15, 13, 12, 11, a 10-year-old with a semi-automatic pistol mad at you, angry, upset, even just aggressive with it, taking it out, playing around with it? I doubt if anyone would want that, or would want to be in that situation or would be comfortable around that. So it's like, why am I seeing all of these armed adolescents?
Right.
How are they getting the guns? We know how some of them are getting them, but I mean, as a parent, I definitely wouldn't give my 14, 15, 12, 13, 10-year-old a gun.
Right.
Which, when I say 10-year-olds, I've seen this myself because I was behind one in line at the Chevron on MLK.
Oh.
And my man had a little blicky with an extendo. But he ain't even a teenager. So ain't even a teenager, man. With 2 and 3 little brothers around him. Now my thing is, what happens if somebody make him mad? I mean,
well, what happens if it goes off
accidentally? Exactly.
He drop it.
And if he fire it, clearly he's not gonna know about the kickback and everything like that, And I mean, how did he even get it? And why is he carrying it at 10? Right. Like at 10, you banging, or do you, like, your life, like, what are you doing that's that serious and aggressive that you have that energy coming at you? And at 10, you really shouldn't be walking by yourself on MLK at certain times and when it's dark.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where your mom at? Where your daddy at?
Right.
Where your big uncle at? Where cuz at? Where auntie at? I mean, like, where's your guardian at?
Right. I get that. Let me ask you a question. He may have had an older brother that influenced him to do such things. You didn't see the older brother because he had 2 little brothers with him, but older siblings can influence younger siblings to do certain things. If you see a little brother, older brother, and I'm not saying this is what's happened. If you see his older brother with one, and he like, hey, or he might have went in the room and got his older brother's himself.
I did do my due diligence on this, and I peeped. I watched him leave, and I saw it was all on his own accord. He didn't get in no car with nobody. What he did was walk to the corner, hit the crosswalk, walked across the street, and walk wherever he was going with his little siblings.
Okay.
So it ain't no adult involved in that. He is the adult at this particular moment.
Okay.
Now, so if he is the adult, like we talking about, what you think he gonna do if he come up against somebody like, hey man, let me get that candy or something like that. Something that any other adult could probably talk his way out of. Maybe, do you mean you want to bar? Give it the candy, whatever. But this particular instance, it's, I really won't want to be around this, to see how that will go down.
How that plays out.
Yeah, because of the thought process and the psych behind the adolescence.
Right. Slick says that they won't carry a gun without extendos nowadays. So they get them easy in these streets. He said he carries it because young bro won't get in much trouble like big brother would. So she's saying the older brother gave it to him to carry. Like,
okay, so
influence. You know what I'm saying?
What kind of?
He won't get in trouble.
Now, All right, so right off the rip, you say he won't get in trouble. When I saw the gun, so if I was 12, he already hemmed up. Okay, another person in there saw the gun, and the cashier saw the gun. So the cashier could have locked the door and called the cops on him unbeknowingly, like not even knowing. So what kind of trouble is we talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Talking about just having. I think we're just talking about just having the gun itself.
Yeah.
I don't know how that protects the brother. So I'm thinking more that the older brother is influencing him more so because he's 10.
What if there's no older brother in the picture? Because we don't even know.
Now, let me tell you something. An 8-9-year-old is very influenced. It may not be anybody in the house, but it's somebody in his circle that's influenced. Somebody on his block. Somebody is influencing him.
It's the hood.
Right, to be the way that he is. You get what I'm saying? It's not necessarily something. He didn't wake up and say, you know what? I'm finna get an extendo today. That generally does not happen that way. So...
It's getting to be that way now.
Influence is an influence. I mean, even if he saw it, even if he heard it in the music, you get what I'm saying? Saw it on video. I mean, whatever it is, something's influencing him to feel like he needs to carry this.
At 10, see, that's where I said it's psychological,
right?
Because at 10, I mean, see, you talking to we're adults.
Why didn't anybody say anything in the store when they saw him with like?
Well, shit. I mean, damn. I mean, now you walking on eggshells. You know.
You don't know how short his fuse
okay,
is.
we did say something to him. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm supposed to do? Hey, young man, give me that gun. You know.
So y'all did say something to him.
Yeah, we said something to him. We like, brother, I know that ain't real now. Damn, boy, you got an extender on you. Like, damn, is it like that? Yeah, you know he. Now you hiding it. Now you see what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, you out there now? You know, and he want to talk too much because he got outed. But I'm just like, hey,
you
bro.
know, he could have a short fuse too.
Hey man, you never know what nobody going through at 10. So you know,
10-year-olds have problems too.
Hey
now.
man, they be smoking. I'm talking about you pull up, they'll sell you what you want too. It's a whole subgenre of life out here that I think needs to be tapped into as far as. Somebody got to help these people, man.
So what do you think is the main? Why do you think there's so much proliferation of gun violence within the youth, all youth?
Okay, well, first of all, like I said before, I mean, I understand.
What's influencing this? Let me put it that way.
You would kind of have to look at it like, is it something intentional that is implanting like subliminal messages and seeds to trigger this particular activity because it keeps going. They advanced the Grand Theft Auto games. Now you can get the Oculus and pow, shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
Come on, man.
I didn't know that.
I mean, well, I don't necessarily know about the Grand Theft Auto Oculus, but I'm just saying in Grand Theft Auto, all they doing is straight up robbing, jacking, shooting, and the whole nine.
I heard that before.
Okay, if you don't do that, you Call of Duty all the time, pow, shooting. You know, and it just begins to get to the point where you used to having something in your aim, in your scope.
So you think it's the games kind of desensitize them to those things?
Well, these games
make them better at it.
These games produce adrenaline.
Right.
And I don't know what people understand or if they know what adrenaline does to your body, but adrenaline is a drug. Literally, I mean, I scan it in at the hospital every day. Right. It comes in vials, you guys. You can shoot it in your veins. And
that's what they use sometimes when you overdose, right?
Exactly, and bring you right back to life.
Right.
So things that are increasing your adrenaline is going to increase some aggression. Okay, sometimes when you angry, do you think do you think a lot? Like, do you take the time out? Okay, exactly. You act more likely. You know what I'm saying? Okay, well, once again, you take these games, you take this music, you take what you're looking at, and if you see somebody angry on your screen and you shoot them, but they got 1,000 lives, you're a little bit desensitized to what that is. Or you shoot him 3 times and he's still standing. You know how in Grand Theft Auto still working. And next thing you know, his power come back up. Okay, in real life, bam, I just shot me a nigga. No, they ain't necessarily say I just murdered me somebody. They say I just shot somebody, right? Okay, now you have to understand what happens after that. Do they survive? Do they live or not? And the funny thing about it is they have laws for all of this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Attempted murder, second-degree murder, first-degree murder, premeditated murder. It's laws based on your aggression and what you've done to a particular person, which is, once again, going to be psychological. Because if you got to premeditate, you done thought about this stuff.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Ooh.
You know,
The
and
premeditation
that's
is
what they're
something-
trying to
is
get in.
something different.
But also, but check this out now. Once these youth and these teenagers start doing these particular crimes, now they get tried as an adult. And
That's
they get
true.
the punishment and the penalty of an adult, and they get thrown in there with adults. But they still teenagers. You're still
Right.
an adolescent.
Right.
So now you're going to get taken through the ringer. You see what I'm saying? And
Right.
manhandled because you're a child. And then you're still a teenager. Your brain isn't fully mentally,
Functional.
physically. Exactly.
You're developed.
So you didn't have time to grow into your thought process of maybe even being remorseful before you would even do something similar to that. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, you know, what they say, young, dumb, full of cum. Most people like, hey, man, when I was young, I used to fly off the handle. Mm-hmm. But now I'm older. I'm wiser. I mean,
Right.
you know, you sidestep certain things. It's not always, the gun is for protection now more as for aggression and extorting or
Right.
getting your point across.
Right.
A lot of the youth, that's what they're big on. The last word, I gotta win. I gotta beat you. The competition. Oh, he can't one up me. Oh, he can't do this to me. He can't disrespect me. He can't say this.
That's
he
a
can't
big
say
thing
that.
right there. That disrespect.
But disrespect.
They take it to such an extreme. As to,
Exactly.
you know, it may not even have been disrespect, but it's like they're looking for it. They're zooming in on it. They're aiming for it. Like he trying to play me. Like it's a, you know how you have a scope
Yep.
and a sonar.
Uh-huh.
Do, 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 do. And they just look. They sonar is looking for disrespect in any way possible because they're postured that way. A lot of times the teams are
programmed
postured so
as well.
aggressively that disrespect may not have even been thrown their way, but they seem to catch it.
I mean, well, to be honest with you, we all have trigger words and trigger phrases. He ain't shit, she ain't shit, or something like
Yeah,
that.
but we
you
respond differently as adults.
Thank you. But see, all right, but now you have to understand now, with that being noticed and that being said, we know this, right? But we're not necessarily in gun reform. You see what I'm saying? We don't have the power, you know, to pull guns off the street or to sanction how guns are distributed. But we know this, right? So if it's so easy for these kids to get these guns and there's so many guns on the street, then, you know, why? Should be one of the questions we're asking. Also, I'm looking down the line like, I mean, if it's that easy and we have it in abundance, what happens if they want to recall all of it or track back to everybody that got them and take it from us because we're abusing it and we got our kids out here, you know what I'm saying, armed to the teeth, and now we getting penalized.
Yeah. I don't think that they'll take it back, but and I'm sorry, I'm chewing. I don't think they'll take it back because the gun lobby is too big. But we should be wanting to figure out a way that we can curb that violence within our neighborhood. We got to figure out a way that can be done.
Okay. That is the main thing, the environment then. Okay, so usually in your environment, you're consuming something. You got people that you're around. If the people in our environment are always strapped and negative, that's a main problem. You don't, like they say, guns don't kill people. People pretty much with the guns kill people. I believe that, you know what I'm saying? But I also believe that when you armed and everyone else is, depending on people's temperatures and how they handle resolution skills and what they consider disrespect, because I don't know what the next man considered disrespect, you know, but I do know he armed, then that leaves us in a gray area to a degree.
Well, let me throw this out there at you. I'm from the west side of Chicago.
Okay.
Ghetto as they come. Been influenced by drugs, alcohol, violence, gang violence. Gang violence in Chicago is very prevalent.
Yes. To this day.
It's been like that way since.
It's a lifestyle, really, a culture.
Right. So I could have been influenced by that very easy and say I was a product of my environment. But what we had things like YMCA. We had things like after school programs. We had things like extracurricular activity that was attached to the school that necessarily kept us out of those things. After school band, all those things which they don't have nowadays. I mean, last year we did a Misfits Radio did a fundraiser with Washington High's band because they were just getting the band back.
Okay.
You know, so how long has it been gone? Because, you know, to be honest with you, Washington High's band was a big band. I used to hear about that in Chicago years back. So when you take certain things out of the school program, you have these kids come to school, then you kick them out of the streets afterwards, and you know they're going into dangerous environments. How can our community, when you walk down the street in my neighborhood, if Miss Johnson see you doing something wrong, Miss Johnson gonna tell your ass about it, may even whoop you, send you home, and your mama gonna whoop you. Those things don't happen today. No one, that doesn't happen. You don't have the Miss Johnsons and Big Mamas on the porch watching the neighborhood, kind of watching the kids within the neighborhood. So it's got to be some way. We can't wait on the government to fix this.
I'm never a waiter.
Right.
But first thing, I think a lot of us are getting confused and misconstrued is thinking like the facility is the savior, meaning like, ooh, we go to church, or if we get them in an after school program, or we do this. Though it's great to have that, but you got to lead them to that first of all. And when they leave these places or on the way to these places, what are they still experiencing? Also, it's more of the vessel or the kid, the person, what we're doing to influence them than necessarily the facility, because we have skating rings, which are supposed to be places where you link up and have fun.
Okay.
But in the meantime, someone getting shot outside of the skating rink. We have malls where I used to like to go get some numbers, might eat lunch with a nice young thing, you know, and probably cop a pair of Jordans and come on home.
Right.
That's fun to me, not going there shooting somebody or getting into it or almost getting robbed. You see what I'm saying? Okay, house parties, man, you know, a party. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be fun and a relaxing event.
Right.
But if you strapped, I'm like, and you not security or the bouncer, then where's the party in that?
Right.
So the thing is it's like elements are fusing each other. Like you have the skating ring, which is a positive facility, but then you have the negativity coming to that. You have basketball games, but then you have the negativity in the parking lot. You have the shooting. You see what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying now.
So the thing is to have it so that maybe once the game is over with, there's a celebration as opposed to some smoke and some beef, you know. Because the point of you even going to that gathering, I usually see people, hey man, I want to go see so and so. You know, your friend that's in school with you, your classmate, you want to see him hit maybe 10, 15 shots, you know, or 15 points. I don't see anyone saying, man, I want to get ready to go to the Amazing Doug game and shoot the lights out this bitch. And I mean in the parking lot. I don't mean on the court.
Right.
So if you have reservations for the latter, like shooting the lights out, you don't even need to be there anyway. And I honestly, I don't, you know, I can't see how these kids in their heart.
How do you change the mindset of the vessel? How do you change the vessels, what they intake and put out? How you take how you change their intake and their output? How do you?
By letting them see an alternative.
Okay.
Like,
give me a couple examples of the alternatives.
Okay, the alternative is at that skating ring, you have an event that's sponsored. You have more adults coming to stay with the kids. You have maybe a security officer in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? Just to deter things. Okay. And you provide, like I say, if it's an event, man, you have certain days at the skating ring, man. Like we got to get involved with it. I remember, like Daddy-Daughter Day, I went to the skating ring with my daughter, and shit was least likely to pop off because you have the daddies there. You have, like, you know, I'd be damned if I'm trying to shoot when I have my daughter here and we trying to have a good time. As a matter of fact, it was admirable to see who else showed up.
Right, okay.
You know, have it where the youth can be involved. Let's say if you just decided you want to have a cookout, man, or something like that. But you get the youth involved in cooking. So they so busy cooking, man, they ain't got time maybe to shoot each other or something. Or maybe they fix the place to sell it and turn into some entrepreneurs. They ain't got, they trying to make money. They don't have time to shoot and fight each other. Shit, get into fashion. You know what I'm saying? Actually, some of these things were taught in school. Remember you had home ec, wood tech, art,
teach that stuff,
you know.
no
Okay, so, well, you know, we can have that taught at centers. We can volunteer. That's the thing, man. You got to sacrifice and give and take, man. As an adult.
Auto shop.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And then I look at it like this right here is voluntarily what I'm doing. I'm speaking to you or speaking to my people on my own time and dime.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's a sacrifice. I could be at home somewhere or somewhere trying to do whatever it is that I feel like I would like to do, but this is important to me too.
Mm-hmm.
We need more adults stepping up like, you know what, man, instead of going to trick off at the strip club, maybe I need to go take my ass to a library or something and school some youth, bring some kids with me there and show them that reading books can be cool, you know. Get these people that you say that's in the streets that done moved all this weight, that claim that they get back to the hood, let's hold them accountable. Because you damn sure want to be held accountable for your crime as far as what you saying on these beats, but you don't want to do, you won't do no time for it, but you want to be the thug. So, okay, man, hold yourself accountable for doing something good. You know, balance this shit out.
I think there's enough money out there in the music industry, as much as they talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
that they can come together and do something to steer the youth down another path.
Mm-hmm.
Because I get all the stuff that you said, I agree with. I agree 100% with all the stuff that you said. But the problem is, I believe a lot of this stuff got to be done at home too. You got to start at home. You got to start getting them at home too. You got to get these parents, like you said, these parents.
Yeah.
When you said the parents definitely need to be more involved.
I do want to take time out to shout out to Young Drodo because he has that, you know, start the violence and put down the gun type movement going on. And that's a head honcho in the A. You know what I'm saying? So, and he's doing a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, behind the scenes and in front of the scenes with this. But like I say, man, we need more people and we need more parents. Another thing that you don't see is often you don't see the mothers of these victims with platforms to speak a lot. And it could be sometimes because they're in mourning, and I respect that. But once they do heal, a lot of them have the ambition and the desire to change things and start movements. And the camera isn't drawn to them a lot. Another thing that you don't see either is follow-ups with these teenagers that have done these crimes. I work with a pastor who speaks to he ministers in the correctional facilities.
Okay.
And he can see some of the remorse, some of the guilt, some of the pain, and some of the hurt that these youth are going through after they've committed these particular types of crimes.
Okay.
But we don't see it.
Okay.
The friends don't see it. The free tay-tays don't see it. You see what I'm saying? So they still think it's all gravy and cool.
Right.
A lot of times, if you see the damage that's been done from these youth, and if they can speak out, and if we extend, you know what I'm saying, resources for them to be able to talk to us about why they did what they did and how they figured that it's wrong now, that can also probably influence and deter some of the ones that are so ready to crash out.
So you like a scared straight. Remember they used to do scared straight, but this is to be real scared straight, where you gonna actually see somebody you actually know in here. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you gonna talk to this person that you know
Exactly.
in here,
Yeah.
and he gonna tell you how it actually is in here.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing, man. Scared straight ain't nothing but exploitation.
Right.
When you hearing it from the horse's mouth and you see that pain.
Right.
And when it ain't no commercial.
No, it's no cutting away
exactly,
and going to the craft services table and getting a sandwich.
Exactly.
It's straight up what it is.
Yeah, you know, and shit, we don't know when the lights go out. That man might have to sleep with one eye open because someone might want to shank him. You see what I'm saying? And those are the stories that you never hear.
Right.
You always just hear, oh yeah, so and so did 5 standing on his head, standing on all 10. Like that's an accomplishment anyway. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing I don't like. The youth think that they have to have stripes out here or something like this, or a badge of merit to do harm to somebody.
Right.
And so start up in the ante, the crimes become more aggressive and more violent. You kicking in doors, you breaking in people's houses, so you think it's gonna start out as like a little, you know what I'm saying, a kick door.
Right,
but
right.
You're armed, so now if the owner armed, what's up? What you gonna do?
Right.
If the owner is there, now that may turn into something different. Once
Right.
again, the youth with a gun,
Right.
either gonna panic or play the part
Of
to
the
the
tough guy
Exactly.
to the end.
Exactly. There have been times where a youth had the gun, had to drop,
Right.
and got killed because they froze up,
Right.
Because in reality, it's not that Grand Theft Auto game,
Right.
Then you have some that itching and kick in the door and pow when
Right.
they didn't even have to, and then you walking out with like $20.
Right.
You know, so it's just it's getting kind of tiresome. You know, over the summer times you start seeing a spike and increase in Chicago,
Definitely
Memphis.
in Chicago, because you know it's hot in Chicago, and it's just anger. In the summertimes in Chicago, a lot of people don't realize this in Chicago. A lot of those houses don't have air conditioning.
Yeah,
They don't have central heating in there.
but
So it's hot in there. It's hot outside. It's just angry. But I think the gangs lead to a lot of violence up there in Chicago. Just straightforward. I'm just gonna be 100% honest with you.
Yeah.
Being from there and being raised in it, that's mostly what it's about.
But what's sad though is how does the length of the time that the sun is out, which is daytime, because when daytime it looks daytime longer, you get more murders.
Right.
And how does the temperature cause you to take a life? You see what I'm saying?
The temperature, because
Like really, like
you
seriously.
think about this. You think about this. It's just hot. You're
Okay.
angry because it's hot. You're angry because you can't get cold.
Man.
You can't get a cooler thing, and you feel like somebody disrespects. So you add 3 different things to the mix. And I know you're saying no, but it does happen. It's just like someone stepping on some Jordans and getting killed. Like, why are you killing this man about some Jordans? Like, you get what I'm saying? It sounds silly,
Okay.
but it happens.
So, all right, here's this. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist for parents and us to know when school let out, summertime, the numbers can go up too, right?
Right.
So it's like if we know these things and we see this every year, who want to try to stop it, man? Like,
Right.
you know, like come on, man. I can't let the temperature be like, hey, bruh, it's 95 degrees outside. Somebody gonna get shot. Like, don't get around me, my nigga, man. Hey, if you do, you better have some Gatorade
Right.
or something, because if I get too hot, I'm not gonna take no shirt off. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit my ass down nowhere. I'm just gonna pop you.
You so the
because
way
of
you
heat.
say saying it sounds real
that's-
elementary, but it's
and that's
not.
exactly-
It's not. Let me get to you. It's not, but it's a lot more that adds to that situation that ends up to the end of the situation what we just talked
And it's
about.
a tactic. See, I think like there are tactics to this. It ain't just none of this ain't coincidence. This ain't if it's a trend and it's a fad, trends happen for reasons, bro. Seriously. Trends have consistency to them. Trends can be documented. You know, trends can be triggered. Trends are meant to be followed. If
Right.
all of this is continuously happening, and we see with generation after generation, it spikes, then one, that shows me if it's my generation, if it's generation after generation and they look like me, then that means we're a part of it. So we are some of the answer or some of the reason too, and it means we got to stop it. Because if it looked like us and it's happening generation after generation after generation looking like us, once like you brought that government up, they not finna stop it because that's part of somehow we got here.
Right.
So
And I agree with you. Us do need to do it, but what is us going to do to solve it? What are the solutions for us to
Alright.
work on to
Okay.
get to those answers that you're just talking about? Because I agree with you.
monitoring
It's gonna
content.
take us to do what we need to do to make sure that these children understand. You get what I'm saying? Understand what's gonna happen or what they're gonna go through
So,
with these guns and this situation.
Here's the
this
thing.
violence.
To understand part of what to do, you already seeing it happen when it get out of hand. Like, do you want the law to do it? Because the law gonna set curfews, which obviously parents should have curfews anyway. You see what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
Like, what we don't need is the law doing what we should be doing anyway.
Okay.
All right, policing our children, because all right, it's gonna be some discipline. You got how do you discipline them?
Right.
All right. Do you know where they are? Do you know their whereabouts? Shit, I used to hang with my daughter a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We going here to do this. I spent time. I had to invest the time in her to know that she could make the decisions to not want to crash out.
Okay.
That's the main thing that you have to do. If you as a parent ain't gonna reach your kid, then all the things that they consume is what's gonna reach them.
Okay.
So if you can't have a talk with your son or your daughter about a gun, then the tabloids gonna have the talk for you. That music gonna have the talk for you. You're gonna be seeing people like John Morant do it for you. You see what I'm saying? All of that bullshit do it for you. Okay, now here we go. once again, just to show you the severity of this. Even if you do have that talk with your child, like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and they have a gun, because we've seen what you can do. You can take a 15-year-old to a gun range and show them how to lock, load, aim, shoot, and all that stuff. And then they can go mass shoot up a school. So what that tells me is, at 15 and at an adolescent, you really don't need the guns. The youth don't need them. Simple as that.
Okay.
Also, when the youth are growing up, let's say, playing these particular arcade games that have violence in them. And the funny thing is, I could tell you that they're being programmed because it'll have MA, mature audience, this and that, and this and that, parental advisor. They even have that on the game.
Okay.
So, it's right there in front of you. If they got it, that is why. It's for mature people, but the kids aren't mature. But anyway, we're going to skip past that. And they got the game, the bang, bang, shoot 'em up games, right? Okay, now, have we asked them how they feel about playing these games? Do we know their perspective or what they thinking when they playing these games? Or do we just let them play the games with no idea how it affects them?
Well, let me ask you a question. Why do we even bother buying the games when they ask us for them? Why can't we just say no stop it at the spigot?
Exactly.
Say, hey, when they say, hey, I want to get the Grand Theft Auto, and you be like, well, what is Grand Theft Auto about? And then they tell you, like, hell no, you can't have that game.
Well, that makes sense too.
You get what I'm saying?
But
like, why buy it if we're gonna have an issue with it? Let's not purchase it at all, because it's not. And I agree. Let's not purchase it at all, because that's only gonna do more things to desensitize the child to the violence. So I don't want to talk to my child about a game that's violent or shoot 'em up or robbing people or whatever. I don't want to talk to you about that. I don't want to know how you think about it, because I'm not buying it for you. You get what I'm saying? I'm gonna cut this off at the pass. I'm not buying it for you. So we're gonna have a conversation about violence and all that stuff. But it's not because we're going to have a game, because you're going to be playing a game. It's going because that's just what we need to have a conversation about in general. But I'm not buying you a game for violence, and I'm not having a discussion with you about the game so I can purchase this game for you that I don't agree with.
So I'm not gonna buy it either, but he gonna go right down there to J House and J logged in and they own it. So now he playing it and I don't even know.
Right.
So now I don't even know how to approach him about the situation. But me, okay, with that being said, I always had my ear to the street. I had my ear to what the youth were doing, because when you have a child, why would you not want to know? Like, you don't need to be saying cap and I don't know what cap is. Like, what are you talking about? What is cap? You know what I'm saying? He don't want no smoke, and I don't know what smoke is. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, if I had a son, I would be talking to him about that anyway. Like, hey man, you need to get off that Grand Theft Auto all day, because life ain't like that. You see what I'm saying? Or I would bring it up to him like that. Oh man, why you like playing these games? As a matter of fact, I used to ask anyway. I never play. I don't care about no Call of Duty, bro.
Right.
I just be like, man, why y'all on this all damn day, man? You know, it's some women out here, or it's this and that. I'm trying to get money. You Call of Duty.
That's what with your friends when y'all used to play. Or this is what.
That's what they would be doing. I don't get into it, man. It took too much energy and time to be figuring all this out. Then you got to load up. Then you're bumping into a wall. Now you want to shoot him down. I mean, it just wasn't enticing to me. It's not fun to me.
They said that white people teaching their children just that when you talk about the guns and
exactly,
they're teaching their kids about. They're actually teaching their children how to shoot guns and how to be responsible with guns and how to load, clean, and all that stuff on a daily basis.
But they
when
get
it
out
comes
there
to
and
our children, I don't want to give my child a game about Grand Theft Auto and all that stuff, and not be able to teach them about the responsibility of owning and having a gun. You get what I'm saying? Because you think about this scenario: what if somebody does kick the door down? You're sick, you're hurt, you had surgery or something. And the only person there is your teenager that's going to protect both of y'all. If they don't know what to do and when to do it, then maybe both of y'all gonna be taken out. So there's a place and time for a lot of these things, but what's happening is we're not seeming to find the place or the time to have these conversations. You get what I'm saying? We're more concerned with so many other trivial things that does not advance us or our children forward within our community. We're concerned about twerking and BBLs, and we need to be concerned about teaching our children how to read and write and all this other things and gun and safety and all that other stuff. But we're just not. It's a lot of things that helps us with what we're talking about today. There's a lot of things within the household, within us as a community that helps us with what we're talking about today, and a lot of those things are just not being done anymore.
So I'm looking at it like now, because I would say, to be honest with you, if you have a child and they're taught to, like you say, clean and unload and load that gun, that can be considered, it's a double-edged sword to me. It could be they could be considered advanced and prepared. But they can also be considered dangerous. How do you discipline somebody if you feel like you don't know whether or not they may go to the cabinet and load up on you because you offended them to a degree? Now, that wouldn't come from my child per se, but if you've given them the skills to do it, they know how to.
Well, I'm just saying, but we just said in general they already gonna know how to do it. The games are teaching them. So you get what I'm saying? I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's kind of a contradictory in words because they already know what they're doing. So they're already if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it, right? You get what I'm saying? If they're coming after you, like you said, and load up on you, they're gonna do that anyway because, like we just said, the games are teaching, the music is teaching. You said you saw a 10-year-old with extendo in the store. So you know what I'm saying? It's more about teaching you the consequences and responsibility of what this item right here does. It carries a lot of weight. Are you prepared to lift that weight when it's time? Are you prepared to do what is, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Sometimes those conversations have to be had without teaching them about the gun because they just need to be had anyway.
And I can answer that question, man. Now, as a teenager, they ain't prepared. That's just like asking them, are they prepared to take on a mortgage and drive their car across state lines and all that other stuff? Actually, it's worse because that gun, you can't take that bullet back once you fire that trigger. You can kind of make some mistakes in adulthood, you know what I'm saying, that aren't necessarily life-threatening. But you give that teenager that gun, and you're giving them Pandora's box. Like, I've seen it too many times. I've been one. You see what I'm saying? And
were you giving it when you had
hell
yours?
no, I wasn't giving it, man. I bought that thing dirty,
but
and I paid the consequence.
You already fixed. You knew what it was.
I did. First of all, what made me want to have it was entertainment. Like,
I get what you said.
Everybody be strapped. I'm strapped. That type of thing. And I felt like I needed it simply because other people around me might have it, or I felt like I wanted to be protected at all times. I used to, rather have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. You always want to make these excuses and shit like that, but really, I mean,
right? I get what you're saying. It wasn't right.
It got me locked up was what it did.
Right.
And then the judge said something to me that made a lot of sense to me. He was like, I mean, I understand why you have it, and I'm not even gonna go hard on you because of the excuse that you gave me was pretty much immaculate. Like, I kind of wooed the judge, you know what I'm saying? So he hit me with the most minimum thing he could possibly motherfucking do and threw some shit out. But what he did give me was some knowledge and was like, you know what I'm saying? You young with this gun because you're a minor, so we ain't gonna press adult type charges on you. But he was like, but you do understand it's a big responsibility with that, and just in having that, sometimes you invite trouble with you, or you might invite the cause of having to use it because you have it. I thought about it like, okay, now think of these teenagers that get real rah-rah with you. You know what I'm saying? If they got a gun, they gonna push it to the limit because they know they got something that can protect them. But do you think they gonna do that with no gun? Not unless they gonna go get 10 more of their little folks. You see what I'm saying? So having that gun can make you provoke as well.
Right, that's why I remember we was talking earlier. We was talking about them looking for trouble.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? Because they feel like, hey,
I got something for them. Yeah, I got you now. The gun.
So they said parents and kids are closer in age and hanging out with each other nowadays. So that kind of, you know what I'm saying? That kind of throws in there. And they said, when I was talking about the white kids and teaching the white parents teaching their kids about guns, we see it up at the range up the street all the time. That's true, we do. We see them at the range all the time with their children. So that's just not something we're as an allegedly. It's actually a fact. We've seen it with our own two eyes. So that's a problem. Trying to be friends with your kids is a big. I get why some people want to do it, but you got to separate the two. You've got to separate it because they got to know that you as the parent, you cool, but you'll fuck their ass up too. Like,
so I'm explaining to you why I kind of changed, and I still am pro friend simply because we in different days and times now. You have more ways actually to keep up with your child, but more ways to lose them because of exposure. It's too many things hitting them now, 24/7. It'd be different if she didn't have access to certain things that could totally derail what I just taught her at the blink of an eye at 2 a.m. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I pride myself in her telling me things that she would tell a friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just a lot. Some of the stuff I won't even share because it's personal to her, and I appreciate that because I know where her head is at, and I know if something happens, there ain't no secret that I can't get her out of something, or I will know why certain things happen to her because I know her like a book. Okay. Now, it's a lot of times when the mothers be like, oh, not so-and-so, not my so-and-so, he wouldn't do this, she wouldn't do that, and they out here acting like a stone cold nut because they ain't telling you who they are. See, I know my daughter through and through because it's a bridge or it's an outlet like, hey, man, whatever's ailing you, I don't care how embarrassing you may think it may sound, talk to me. One, because I'm older, so I got wisdom. A lot of the times you're not going to get the wisdom from your peers that you would get from why not your father. You see what I'm saying? Right. Who going to be the adult in her life to give her the game that I got from the experience of how long I've been alive? Who would you want to give that to her? Okay. So that's why I extend like the friendship to her. Yeah, I know I'm her dad, so she know that. So she ain't gonna come out her mouth in some kind of crazy ass way by calling me my first name and all this. And we supposed to be friends. I can do this and that. No, like she know her boundaries. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like some boundaries are not known. Some boundaries are non-existent when you have that situation. You get what I'm saying? That's the thing that we're talking about. I'm talking about when I say friends, I mean, of course, you want your child to talk to you and tell you things that you know that necessarily they would tell their friends, or that they wouldn't tell their friends. But at the same time, that boundary line has to be there. It can't be invisible, and that boundary line has to be known that it can't be fucking crossed. So like, real deal. And if you have that established, or if any parent, we're not gonna just talk about you because this ain't about you.
Because I was gonna ask, what's the boundary line? Like, what don't you want your daughter or your child?
Well, that's between you and your child.
See, exactly. Like,
so like I knew when I grew up, I knew friends of mine that called their mama by their first name. Oh, I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like I knew children like I wouldn't do it. And you know what I'm saying? But they did. So it's we just said it because you said she would call you her first name.
If she called me by my first name, I would call her by her first name. It would be just some first name calling. I'd be like, yeah, that's my name. Spell it for me. You know what I'm saying?
But I'm saying when you saying boundaries, that could be a boundary for some people.
Well, okay. I mean,
it may not be a boundary for you. You get what I'm saying?
It's fun, man. Like I say, my daughter's a blast of fun. I can't boundaries.
Some people may smoke weed with their kids. Some people may not be. Yeah. That might be a boundary.
I mean, that ain't no boundary for me.
You get what I'm saying?
Because I'm going to be like, if you going to do it and you do it with me, at least I know you're doing it with somebody that's responsible. Now I can tell you all the effects or what you need to be doing, or don't buy that shit from somebody, get it from me or whatever. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, it comes a time when you love your child so much that you need to know some of the secrets that they have so that you can, prevent certain things or just give them the wisdom on it. Like I mean, her personal life, that's hers. But like shit that she would tell most of her friends, most of the time she'll tell me. Now clearly she ain't gonna be like, hey man, Dad, I just had sex with so and so and I ain't feeling good about it. You know what I'm saying? Now she might not say that to me, and even if she did, I'd be like, well damn, did you use protection? You know what I'm saying? You sure you ain't pregnant? Cause man, we've had these same conversations with someone else. So I mean, I know she's having them. Who am I to think she don't talk about these things? So if she slipped and said it to me, what am I supposed to do? My God, I'm your dad. How dare you say such things? Because you saying the shit anyway. So I'm going to be like, oh, if that's how you think, well, let me school you. And then we just keep it moving.
Yeah, so they said we don't know our kids 100%. You have to talk to them, hopefully raise them good enough that they will come to us and talk to us.
Well, we do know what most of them won't do if it's an atrocity. I would at least like to say that. And then if they do something like that, then I can just honestly say that that was the part of her that wanted to do that and wasn't the part that I raised. Just call it like that. Because, I mean, you know.
You raised it all, buddy.
Hey, because, you know, the monster in me, I know my mom and my dad, they ain't create that. You know, sometimes my brother be looking at me like, man, where the hell you get this from? Like, man, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you doing this? Or how did you know how to do this? And I'm just like, man, sometimes you pick up different things in the environment.
Right.
Which is right back to, like, what these teens are doing. You know what I'm saying? If we're having a lot of trauma, how do we not expect them to have some trauma?
Right,
you know,
right.
if we psychologically throw it off and we can't handle we flying off, how do we, you know, we expect them not to?
I get what you're saying. We got. Do you? Are there really any solutions? Are there
Of
any
course,
solutions to
man.
this?
Like,
or are
the solutions are us. The solutions are how we act. The solutions are, I mean, it ain't no overnight thing. That's the whole point, man. Like, you have to live this every day.
Okay, give me 5 steps to a solution. What's step 1, step 2, in your opinion, on what you think
Okay.
that will help? And I'm talking about clear steps, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and
One step would be that you know where your child is and they going where they say they gonna go. Now that's up to you to figure it out. I'm saying, like, each person has that, like, y'all got y'all own methods of how to teach or discipline your child. I can't tell you how to discipline them.
Right.
I can just say some things that everybody should want to know about their child, and it's across the board. So like I say, know where they're going then if they say they're going there. Be a man or a woman of your word. Like, don't let your child down. If you say you're going to do some things, you own up to it. If you start owning up to everything that you do and you hold yourself accountable in front of your child and in front of everybody, then your child is at least going to have to understand that certain characteristics and behavior that they're doing, or at least that you're doing, they're going to have to be held accountable of it. If you ain't...
right.
Yep, that's step 2. If you ain't holding yourself accountable for nothing, of course your child going to be wilding out. So that's the second one. The third one is have options of stress relief, or options to bonding options, meaning like go fly a kite with them. If they like to color with them. If they like to paint with them. Take them to a concert and stay there with them. Be cool enough to be around some of their peers maybe a time or two. You don't have to do it all the time, but God damn it, one time or two, y'all hanging out with the friends, or at least you gonna meet the parents, or at least you go into a destination and you staying there long enough to see how they act when they're in public from time to time with you. You know what I'm saying? Then dial it back some, man, and maybe watch them from afar from time to time just to see how they're engaging. You know what I'm saying? See if they give respect to their peers as well as another adult. All right. If you feel that you can't control them, or if you feel you're hearing from other sources or other people, man, that your child is wild and you know it, you can't always just take up for them, man. Try to get some counseling. All right. If you know they lacking a father or they lacking a father figure, get them around that. Get their brothers, their cousins, their uncles, some man in their life. If you a man and you have, you know, your daughter or your son and you don't have a woman around, try to get a woman around. I mean, motherly love is just as important. All right. Okay, so what we on? That's about the third or the fourth one?
That's the fourth one.
That's the fourth one. All right, man. And the fifth one, I would say, is shit, you just got to be on top of what they starting to consume. The consumption of what they have, meaning what they eating, is it triggering them to act aggressive and angry? Sometimes they can get depressed by what they eat and be fat or something, or you don't know if what they're eating is making them chemically unbalanced. All right, then what they listening to. If they're listening to something violent all the time, 9 times out of 10, that's what it's going to be. I ain't never seen no one strap up and gang bang the TD Jakes, so we not even going to go there with that one. All right, what are they watching on TV? Like I said before, I doubt if you're gonna be watching, you know what I'm saying, Arthur or Rugrats or when you start looking at some other shit on TV, let's just say Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or something like that. I doubt if you're gonna be having a Blick or a fully automatic.
Do kids even look at TV now?
Sometimes they do, but it just be on an iPad or something like that. You see what I'm saying?
I think
they look at apps.
YouTube. I think a lot of them watch YouTube now.
Well, TikTok and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
that be negative too, man. So, I
True.
mean, you can't filter everything, but you can dump what you know inside of your child so that they can start. They got to be their own filter.
Okay.
So then you got to reinforce these things on a daily basis until they're old enough to know, you know what I'm saying? When you're not with them, you with them because your wisdom is with them.
Okay.
Like, that's what I was saying, man. I don't use that cop out where you can't be around your daughter 24/7. Who the fuck say I can't, man?
The phone
Because
lets me do that.
not only that, but the subliminal be doing
Right.
that. Oh, my dad said that. My dad said it was gonna happen. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we discussed this before. That's what I'm talking about. Because you can best believe when somebody out there shooting somebody, something has been triggered.
Right.
Maybe they got it from a rhyme. Maybe they
Right.
got it from their brother, man. My brother say, hey, man, lay it down. We ain't taking no prisoners
Right.
today. Don't leave no witnesses. Whatever their motivation be when they go at whatever they do.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I gave the resolutions, you know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna be nothing that's gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna be no one conversation thing. I mean, it's got to be a lot. Sometimes you might have to factor in that they could be bullied. You
Now,
gotta
that's a big
fact.
thing.
Yeah,
That's a big thing. Going to school being bullied, or going to school and being maybe the poor kid in school,
Exactly.
and not having the clothes and all that. Because kids can be mean. Kids can be mean, and if you're don't have the clothes or the shoes, or your shoes got holes in something, and the kid sees it. By the time you get to lunch on that school day, everybody gonna know it. You get what I'm saying? So that's true. You are very right about that. That can trigger a lot of things.
It could be some domestic violence going on in the household.
Most definitely.
And I know that definitely might make the child afraid of something, and they feel like, hey, man, I'm gonna do this to protect myself. Next time he go at mom, I got him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But once again, like I was saying, at a 15-year-old mind frame and mindset, that's really another way that you can go about that. So it's like, man, just make sure, keep your guns locked away. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily want to say have that thing emptied out at the house, but you know what I'm saying? Notify your kids of maybe what they shouldn't be touching it. You know what I'm saying? Hide it. Hide it in a spot where they can't necessarily get to it. If you are one of the types that you feel like they're old enough to understand why you have one, then that's when you have to just go ahead and, man, maybe join a gun club or something, or take them with you to the shooting range, and then before they even let them touch that pistol, they're gonna have to understand how to load it anyway. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna have to understand how to handle it, because that's the first thing that they want to know. That's a requirement of how to hold the gun and how to load the gun when you are in it. You know what I'm saying? When you are at the gun range. So education on it then. Also, everybody's always, I just spent all this time talking about guns when we can talk about life too. The life that you may be taking. That's important. I mean, you never know who you are shooting, and why would you want to kill them anyway? Like, that's somebody's brother, that's somebody's father, you know what I'm saying? That's somebody's son, that's somebody's nephew, that's somebody's cousin. So, I mean, all life is precious. And you have the main thing that can take it when you decide to put that in the hands of a teenager. And we also got to start being careful. And this conversation need to be had anyway, because laws are changing. So you might, your child might take your gun, shoot somebody, and you got to do time behind it.
That's true.
So you might really want to, one, brush up on what's happening with gun laws and reform, and two, make sure your child knows what's going on with it too, and that it's getting to be more dangerous now, and consequences are getting more dire. They're hitting you one time with it and giving you years behind it. I would say, in New York, gun law is a little bit different than Georgia, and man, you almost get fired to the door, better just for having it, almost for each bullet you got. They don't play. You've seen a lot of celebrities get locked up in New York with it, but yet they still have gang and gun violence there. So I think some resolutions that we have no control of, because we definitely don't depend on the government here, would be the crime and punishment behind it. Those that maybe are super aggressive with looking like, well, see, you can't say that a child has no future, because 15 years old and you make a mistake, you definitely not gonna be thinking the same way at 30.
Right.
But I say follow up. You know, create programs for these particular offenders.
There you
Maybe
have it.
something in the military, like ship them to the military sometime. Maybe just instead of just jail and throwing them in there with folks that can kill them. Have counseling with them. They need to see psychiatrists.
Right.
You know,
Those
it's
are
a
very important things. That conversation with a psychiatrist,
exactly.
the support when they come out,
Mm-hmm.
and psychiatry, the support that they need when they come out, if they get jailed as youth. Those things are very important because if you come out and go to the same environment you went in from, what's to keep you from going back in again?
Well, to be honest with you, without the follow up, it's like they just learn how to become criminals. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
When
I've
they're
heard
in
that
there.
before.
Yeah, like you hone your skills. You see what I'm saying? Some of it's for survival.
Right.
And then also you got to think about it. A teenager that commits a murder, man, that's gonna follow them. You know, those are serious felonies,
rest of their
serious
life.
charges. So now it's like from 15 or whatever age you decide to do this on out. You know, you have to deal with that. Like it was heartbreaking hearing about those brothers that got into it over the Christmas presents and ended up killing their mom on accident. You know, I mean, so once again, like I say, I mean, you know, that's kind of what's gonna happen when you have an adolescent mind. That's why I'm more like on the psychologically we have to try to get at them. You know, through what you say to them, through what they're looking at. Me per se, I'm gonna start doing certain methods like you know, wearing certain clothing that promote it. Do a little bit of songs, you know what I'm saying, that take your mind out of just always having to clap somebody. You know, set up some events, man. You know, mentor, tutor. You know, give your time. A lot of people like, man, that ain't my kid. I will say sometimes they make it hard for you though. Because I discussed with certain parents about this, because I kind of do want to get more into that lane, but you don't want to offend certain mothers or fathers when you start implementing some of what you know on them if they're not going for it. You see what I'm saying?
Right. They don't.
They may be like,
they're not
well,
feeling
you
that.
tell my child this and that. So
Right.
like that's another thing. Like you have to get at the parents. The parents have to want to be on board. They have to be willing to acknowledge that there is an existing problem. A lot of times if you're going to be in denial and not understand what your child is out here doing, then these things are going to happen. And I mean, like, it's not always with what I would say you would consider a child from a bad environment. Like, it's that basketball phenomenon. I think his name is Mikey, who ended up getting into like a little shootout, you know what I'm saying? And he got a Nike contract, name and likeness and all of this, and was getting ready to go, I think, to Memphis, you know, for the basketball team. That's big. Like, dude.
Was that recently?
Yeah, this is definitely recently.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a tragedy. Oh, same dude, another guy for Alabama. You know, so it's starting to trickle into our athletes as well. Athletes and student athletes. You see what I'm saying? And they're still teens. They haven't even made it to their profession yet, and they've already gotten strikes where they can fall far in the draft. But it also is a double-edged sword, because you can look at it when a kid seems to be marketable and valuable to a system, they can get away with doing some damage and still end up, you know what I'm saying, becoming something. Like, it's good to see that a person has some success to fall on, but it's bad to see that they can manipulate it because he's an influencer as well. So now we're here stuck with this. You don't want to be so crucial on a teenager, but you don't want to give them a slap on the wrist because these are murders, you know what I'm saying, and they shooting. So, but it's at least good to look at it from all angles.
Most definitely. I think some of the steps you gave are good steps. Definitely being more involved in your child's life all around is definitely a plus. I mean, what could it hurt? And I get it. Some parents have to work. You know, we forget, we can't leave that out. Some parents have to work, but you have to leave such an indelible influence on them that they will know better. Think about when we were younger. We were like, I ain't doing that. My mom gonna be mad as hell. My grandma gonna be pissed off. You know, she didn't have to be around. So you got to leave that impression on them some kind of way. And being in their life, talking to them, impresses them, because they don't want to make you feel bad. They don't want to embarrass you or make you angry or upset, not because you're violent towards them, but just because they respect you so much and they love you so much as their parent, they don't want to hurt your feelings. You get what I'm saying?
Well,
so being in their life and being in their face and, you know what I'm saying, just being with them and talking to them and having fun with, not just bad talk to them all the time. You having fun with them, you playing with them, they like you said, they like music, hey, you like music? Let's get a couple of pieces of equipment, see what we can come up with. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that does help. You are exactly right.
So I do want to touch on when you said work. Like, I never use work and time as an excuse, because like if I gotta work or if my time is taken, what I do is I change my perspective of how I do it. I get more bang for my buck with the time that I have. Like, you got to be dominant or like special, specific, you know what I'm saying? When you don't have the time that you want to invest, then you need to have the knowledge. You need to be able to be kind of like futuristic with your thought process, because you don't have as much time to spend with them. So you have to make every moment crucial. Like, not necessarily having my daughter with me 24/7 made me think of different ways to be more dynamic in her life. Think of different ways to stand out. Think of certain things to say that you might not necessarily normally hear from a parent. Focus on what she valued and liked and amplify that more for her. Okay. Like I said, because I wasn't the 24.
So you're being strategic with your time, the time that you have, and you're not necessarily you're getting just as much time in with less time.
Well,
is that what I'm saying? Is that what you're saying? Like,
yeah.
You have to work, but you still are giving just as much time as you would if you didn't have the hours you had, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's just a small, like I said, smaller bang for the buck.
In essence, I'm not bullshitting with the Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairies. I'm giving you knowledge that you can use. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't have time to flood your head with something that don't even make sense, don't exist. You're going to find out later along it was a waste. When I can put a seed in your head right now, so that when you plant that thing, when you water it later on, it becomes a plant. And you be like, well, that's what Dad was talking to me about when I was 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old, rather than unicorns and pixie dust. So I'm just saying, that's why, no arrest in you through the teenage years.
Right.
When, I had one.
Right.
So it's like I said, if you don't get on that psych, right, when they teenagers, when they're developing, that's the best time to do it, because like we said, they've been soaking up from a sponge ever since they came out the womb. So now they're starting at the teenage years. That's why everything be so emotional. That's why it's like they got their own world. That's why they take everything to the extreme and willing to crash out, because of that adrenaline, and because they're formulating and processing everything that they've been learning. Right. And they're gonna do it to 100-degree power, because one, they feel like they got the freedom to do it, because it just clicked. It's like, okay, what you think gonna happen? You give a 21-year-old a 67 Mustang or something, and you put them, and they see nothing but road ahead of them.
Oh, they gonna put the pedal to the floor.
Same thing with a 15 or 16-year-old.
Right.
They gonna hit that thing like it's Grand Theft, or they gonna hit it like it's Fast and Furious. You see what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Okay, so but somebody older that done been there and done that might be like, watch it on the curve now.
Right.
I don't need to get the heart rate up, son. I done been, So drop it on them if you can.
Okay.
Save them some time and some stress in the future.
All right. Well, I think we hit on some great points today. We're gonna talk about more great stuff to come. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling you, this man's getting deep into your psyche. Y'all need to tune in and listen.
So I got a little bit of time today, so I want to shout out, to Jeremy Smith. What up to Kevin Kelly, Steven Smith. What's up, sis? I see you, and Desiree. They online right now. I appreciate your time and attention.
That's right.
And anyone else that I didn't name or mention that's tuning in, I really appreciate that. I'm gonna be back next Monday for y'all. 8 o'clock.
That's right.
We're doing great things. Ocho.
All right.
Spanish now.
All right. Peace out, y'all.
Later.
Yeah.
I think this is good.
Yeah. Shit. grams of liters of cc's, pounds. Close cash, close call, close encounter, close up, pounds of liters of grams, get your dosed up, cut this up, post up, and get dosed up. This for them vote, they like to move and make the most of. Monday night at 8, I can't wait to set you straight. These opinions and debates, for them folk they can't relate. I got to elevate your mind through these signs of the time. Dishing out that medication for that deaf, dumb, and blind. And I ain't hard to find.